Hello, and welcome to Wanderful, somewhat D&D podcast. Thank you for joining us. I know some of y'all love these tavern talks, but I'm your typical DM, your lovely typical DM, Tyler, and I'm joined by the three goodest boys this side of the tracks, Kyle, Matt, and Jeremy. Say hello, Kyle, Matt, and Jeremy.
Hello, Kyle.
Hello, Matt.
Why'd you stop yourself, Jeremy? Go ahead.
No, I didn't. I was going to have each of us saying, but Matt also immediately fucked it up because he said his own name.
Well,
I was saying hello, Kyle. Kyle was saying hello, Matt.
Kyle.
Matt would say hello, Jeremy.
All right, let's start it again. All right. Jeremy, start.
Hello, Kyle.
Hello, Matt.
Hello, Jeremy.
Perfect.
Hello, boys.
Don't we seem
My
children,
my good sons.
Fuck you, Tyler.
Look,
Hi, kids. We're home
we
early.
are here to discuss season 2. Season 2 is over, and you might not be able to tell from the tone of our voice. We're real sad about it.
No, I cried.
This was a real sad season, and our tone of voice hasn't changed just because that was recorded months ago. That's surely not the reason.
No, I'm
We're
not
still
sure if
very heartbroken.
I'm not sure if it's
crying
come out
right
yet,
now.
but Kyle actually cried in the finale. I don't know. if
Kyle
that was
cried in the episode
Yeah.
that came out last week.
Nice.
We're also recording this before the actual finale.
I'll be the first to say. I'll be the first to say I'm a bit method. All right.
Yeah.
I get lost and easily
Lost in the
enthralled
sauce?
in a character. I do
It
video
goes
games.
to show.
I do with real life touching the dice games.
It goes to show how invested all of us are in this story and in this show. Like, we care a whole lot about this show, and we hope you're enjoying it. We actually have had a lot of new listeners as of late.
Yeah, shout out to
And
everybody
hey,
who's been coming
shout
around.
out. Thanks
Shout
for
out to
listening.
Go.
bots I paid for to bump our numbers up.
No, no, don't tell
And
them
whoever
about
bought a T-shirt.
We've got a whole storage unit.
Someone did buy a T-shirt and a sweatshirt.
We got a whole
Someone
storage
did
unit
buy all that, but we don't know.
filled to the brim
Let's
with
go.
computers and generators, and we are generating comments like "haha" and "so funny" and "podcast."
ASL.
And I'm not sure about this Jeremy fellow.
I enjoy listening with my ears.
So I have questions, but I don't think you can actually answer any of them because they're basically just questions like that I came out of season 2 with.
I'm fine to ask any questions because it can cause an interesting discussion. I'm not going to spoil things.
My most pressing question, that was as soon as you said come up with questions, it was the first thing I thought of, which is both a question and a statement. I don't get the mayor. I don't understand him.
I think that's very apparent.
I will say, I like this is the first question.
He does extremely evil shit, but like the moment he's called out on it, he grew a fucking tree through a corpse. But as soon as we were like, hey, that's wrong. He was like,
I'm not
wrong.
gonna say anything, but Callie and I have talked about this a lot lately. Barnabas is my favorite character to play on this entire show.
I was just gonna say too, and I don't. So to kind of piggyback a little.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
He's a bad person, and we don't understand how he doesn't understand that we believe him to be a bad person because of who he is. All of what he's doing, all of his shit, regardless of the morality you have tied to it, is for the betterment of his people and to make sure his people stay in line with what he believes to be how society should
These
run.
people have never met anyone outside. They've never even met anyone not human.
And he's like, and I'm sure he's in that same boat, even if he is the leader. So his ass is like, I've got to pull my own shit together to make sure that everyone thinks everything's fine forever.
Okay,
because Kyle, I just need to say I feel very validated and that came across.
No, 100%.
Because I don't want to like spell it out like so.
No.
Okay, hold on. There's something I need to clarify. I thought I understood the mayor, and I would agree with Kyle until he grew a fucking tree through a human body.
No, listen.
That is not something you can justify.
And not to get too political, right? Not to get too zany, too wild, right? But within our real world, there are groups of people that are trying to hold power over people, regardless of those people's want of that. And they have done heinous things to ensure that either by fear, by action, whatever, they send a message. If you do what this person did,
I feel so seen by Kyle right now.
Like not to parallel him too much, but straight up, it's like if the Taliban leader was in Candyland, like dead ass. Like this is the vibes I get. I get fucking like ISIS meets like fucking the Mad Hatter. Like it's just this zany guy who's terrible, but all in the sake of trying to bring his people under a banner of what he believes is right. Right? It doesn't have to make sense to us. It doesn't have to sound good or be morally just.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
No. This is something I want to clarify. It's not that like with those kinds of things, even though you can't empathize, you can understand. He already has absolute power. All of the people already do what he says.
Sort of.
I
mean,
only
they do.
Yes,
but no. Okay. We're in a good space to talk about these kinds of things. I think because I don't feel like at this point in what everyone has already heard, I'm like spoiling things. This is the point where these things are clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he has some form of absolute power.
Right.
But someone in that position, he has already demonstrated to you that he is afraid of losing that power because of losing
the trust of his people.
This kind of person, and potentially losing the trust of his people, that kind of person will do horrible and ridiculous things to try to maintain that kind of control over. Think of him like an abusive husband.
Hold on. I agree with you, except for one aspect.
Go ahead.
He did a horrible thing, but as soon as we pushed back on it, he immediately caved. Abusers.
Maybe you should think
themselves.
maybe you should think about the situation we are
the
in.
Taliban is
he has made very clear
that's like,
he did not expect you three to show up on his doorstep today.
Yeah. He wasn't expecting us. He wasn't expecting our connection to this person.
You changed the game.
Yeah,
he wasn't expecting
our connection to this person he was punishing as a thing for his people regardless.
Right.
He also wasn't expecting us to show up basically like on the eve of his grand plan. Like it all was like serendipitous. This would have happened regardless of if we showed up. They would have shot off into space. If we'd have showed up any later, like dicking around in Thandor for some god reason, they'd be in space. They'd be in space and we'd never know.
Right.
We'd never know what happened to our dad. We'd find our I think maybe if they had some sort maybe maybe if they had some sort of uprising and came back for whatever reason or any number of things that might have made them come back. I think if anything, we would have seen in the horizon of the storm something shooting off. Like we would have been pulling up to the desert because that's where things were leading, and then it would have somehow been like your marker's going to space, and it would have been like now we have to figure out how to get to this fucking bubble city.
Right.
And figure out if our parents are there. And then it would have, in my opinion, it would have probably fallen back into the same story we're in. Just maybe not the way it's playing out.
Yes.
With stuff we haven't spoiled yet.
I do want to clarify something because I do feel like apparently I've been told I have a very hostile tone by default. This is I was not like being like
it's fine.
The mayor is like shittily written. That's not.
No, I didn't think that's what you were saying.
Both from Alandi's perspective and from my own perspective, I do think he is someone with absolute power who is very afraid of losing it. That definitely came across, but his other actions and behavior, especially involving us three, make me feel like there has to be another thing going on. Otherwise, like, it doesn't make sense how lenient he's being with us. How like in his mind, if he were just someone who wanted absolute power, he would have killed us or imprisoned us by now. With as much shit as we've done,
with this,
he would have already.
What's difficult about this conversation in specific, is because we have not in canon and in like recording sessions, like for the audience to know, we haven't resolved what is happening in Duradera.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can't. Like I understand
like
what
I
you're
said,
saying.
This was my section of things I'm still like looking for answers for.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I don't know. like how to reconcile that right now.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my theory for how things are how we're gonna step back in, like even before our characters start to do things, we are going to have an opening scene of like this sort of desolate vibe, right? We are in the vacuum of space right now, just clearing orbit of our planet type shit. The loneliness, that fucking pressure, right? We're going to come into the city proper to Barnabas fucking giving like his presidential address to the people like, hey,
right.
Shit's a little zany right now. We're in space. No, a lot of you may not have been expecting this.
Yeah.
However, spiel, bullshit. And then as that kind of like he sells his thing, we're going to feel sort of out the energy of the people, right? Because they're trapped just like us. That's one thing that like I hope, and I'm not trying to like sway you in any way of writing per se, but like
I am fine
to
feel
like the vibe of the city. I want to feel the vibe of the people before we start, because like I know we're the main characters and that's the whole point.
Well, yeah.
Well, we left off the last episode saying that while the people of Duradera are somewhat blindly complacent or blindly obedient, once we left into space, the people were not too happy about it.
No, a lot of them were scared.
They weren't like rioting, but they were scared and kind of panicking.
Kyle, my understanding, because we're gonna get into this later, but we're doing a time skip. My understanding was that Tyler was going to kind of set the scene of
I'm not saying it's all going to happen like literally chronologically like that. Like we're gonna get a Barney speech. I feel it in my bones. He's gonna do like an address thing as we're seeing time skip stuff, and we're hearing this sort of out of time as like
you definitely will, because like I was saying when Jeremy was talking, Barnabas Quincy III is my favorite character I've ever created, and I love playing him.
Yes,
like because he's such a shithole, but like I don't think this is tipping my hand. I don't think Barney thinks he is a bad person.
No, not at all.
I think he is. I think he is following the traditions and ideas of his family, the leaders before him, and he's
literally living a life of traditions.
Showing up. I think that you three showing up changes everything, and now he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to think because everything has always been the same here.
I think also too now, like as much as he had to do what he did, I think there is now a sort of splitting path for Barney that we will not see personally, like that Tyler's having to quell with and write with, that he did a fucked up thing unknowingly. Like he was doing a fucked up thing to prove a point, but
he didn't think that killing the dad was fucked up.
Yes,
that it was killing someone, like he hurt individuals.
And
that
sort of
he feels fucked up about that.
In doing that, he has sort of, for like kind of calling back to one of our movies, he's sort of shown us the wizard behind the curtain. We know that he's like a little bit of a piece of shit, even if he tries to, sell it and package it however with the big Barney stamp on it. He fucked up, and there's no getting around that he fucked up. And he knows we know he fucked up. And I think that's going to like come to sort of terms with like him kind of keeping this facade for his people with us running around now. There's going to be a change sort of to kind of keep us in line, so to speak, I feel.
Well, that's one
to not stir too much of the pot.
One thing that I think, at least this has been the kind of that interaction, that final interaction with the corpse. I think for me, at least, that made me feel very strongly. And kind of like what you were saying, that like Barnabas sees himself as a good person, but has never in his entire life been called out by anyone.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And that's the only kind of thing where it's like, he didn't think that doing that horrible thing was bad.
Or would have consequences
until
beyond
the
people
minute
being like, this is
someone questioned him, and then he was like, oh yeah, I guess that would be immoral.
And I think you three's opinion carries a little more weight than Joe Duradera Schmo.
Like,
especially because like
very good.
We have a like direct we also have like a direct link. I don't know about the other people. We didn't look at Finn, if I'm mistaken, or like Tor or any of those guys to see if they had the mark.
I think everybody has the mark.
Everybody in Duradera has the mark.
As far as you know, everyone has the mark.
Okay. Well, that's the thing too. It's like, so we have as much claim to
I will
this
say
place.
as far as you know, because like some people presumably have it under their clothes, and they said that everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, I think whenever we walked to the limo, you had mentioned the fact that we could see the mark on people walking by.
Okay. Yeah.
Not everyone, because presumably some of it would be covered. By clothes.
I think that kind of goes into. I think that kind of goes into the fact that like we're basically like native sons of this place by birth, without even realizing it. And if we come stirring up sort of the social like status quo kind of shit of people just kind of being like, yep, I guess that makes sense. Barney said so, and we're like, actually, think about this, because Barney. He says he's good for the people, but he killed our dad, blah, 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 all these other things.
Right. Well, that's kind of the thing that I was talking about earlier, where like, that's why I was saying there has to be something more going on, because he would have just killed us. Well, the fact he didn't means there has to be another piece that we don't know yet.
I don't know that I completely agree with that.
If you're
I'm not going to speak into this. I'd love to hear y'all debate this.
If you're an amoral leader who is afraid of losing power and 3 wild cards show up, snuff those fuckers out is the simplest, quickest, and easiest solution.
I don't agree with that completely, and that's mainly because part of the tradition that's been like laid down is the fact that like they're going to protect their people at all costs, and they will do anything that they can to protect the people of Duradera.
Because as you said, part of them leaving into the sky was to protect their people, not to protect them. And granted, like that, I'm sure is influenced by not losing their power over people.
And just because we have the mark, like that makes us part of them, even though we've never even like set foot in Duradera. And that's literally his programming of like, that's what he's been taught since like he was, young growing up to, become a leader of literally just, protect these people at all costs. Like we are like, I don't want to say like the immortals, like we are better than everybody, but that's kind of what it is.
But
it's
I
like
also think
we have this royalty to our,
we other than the tree with our dad, they've never shown any sort of like vibe to the city or any of its like goings on that it's like this barbaric place. If anything, they've been trying to put on airs to show that they're not like.
And technically speaking,
I agree.
Our dad's an outsider, right?
Yeah,
because he was our adopted father.
I don't think he had the mark.
Well, yeah. So it was supposed to show like strength. I would assume.
I don't. It's been a while since we recorded that. I know it's recent for the.
Do you want me to remind you what was said?
Was our father a citizen or just a smuggler?
So that hasn't been said, or it hasn't been mentioned. That's not me tipping my hand either way. What was said was that your mother, Faye, and him broke back into the city for whatever reason. I can't remember if we said, because I haven't listened to the part 2 since we recorded it. But they broke back into the city, and he bought time for Faye to escape. I think he might have even said there was multiple people. I don't remember. That's also not me tipping my hand. I just genuinely don't remember. And there, as far as I remember, he made no indication that Drin was from here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I assume. I thought we had like
we would have. To be fair,
would have found that out like early on.
It's strange to me that none of us knew that either of them had a mark, but like they shouldn't, right?
Yeah, I think we had. I thought, if I remember correctly, I think we established that neither of them had that mark. It was
that
just
was my
you.
understanding. And Matt, I think your kind of your mindset of it, where it's like he views us as an extension of basically his toys that are in his toy box that is Duradera. I do think that makes it make a little more sense why he's being lenient with us, but he would tree somebody.
Yeah.
Is if that person was an outsider who didn't have the mark, then maybe he is much more willing to do horrible things to them.
Yes.
I could definitely, I think that, but like, I think that
I will say too, I don't think it was
Yeah.
mentioned, but the body was mostly like nude. It was, its parts were covered
That's
up.
what
I
You
know,
and
could
that's why I
see
was like,
no
we didn't
tattoo
see.
on it,
Yeah.
or you
Yeah.
could see no spiral mark.
No
well,
mark. Yeah,
hold on.
okay.
This is both story and just real life. Like, I feel like we were children. We would have seen our parents naked.
No, I
Yeah,
know
that's.
that. But
I thought that's
we,
what.
but also
I thought
me and-
specifically
Maybe.
you brought that up
Yeah.
before, Jeremy.
I feel like if I've seen my mom naked as a child, I did look away.
Yeah, but still, regardless,
Upon-
what I mean to say is, like as in Bon and Carveth, didn't have our marks until after the big
Right.
event in the thing.
True.
So
That I'm
to
also
be fair,
curious about.
you were the only person to have that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know necessarily that it's like a deeper thing. Maybe it was like a hidden thing, or I don't know. But like we didn't have this until later on after events happen, right?
the other-
None of it's
we
as
wouldn't
cut and dry
necessarily-
as that. I guess is
we wouldn't be
at least as far as like what we understand right now.
It
Yeah.
does imply that like something happened with y'all two that it was too late for me. And I am the oldest, so that does make
What do you mean?
to like hide it. Because why not hide my
Oh.
mark too? And the only thing that makes sense if whenever I was born,
You just were born with it.
well, what
I
I'm
will
saying
say,
is they didn't have.
If this is reassuring at all,
yeah.
these things we're talking about, I do have an answer for.
Oh,
This
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
like
I-
something
yeah.
that no, I know. I'm
figured you did.
just like this isn't something like like this was like an oversight or something I'll
Yeah.
have to figure out later.
right.
Like
Yeah.
from the beginning of doing
Yeah.
this story, I have
And the
like
beginning
this
of
has
time.
been one of the
Yeah.
things that I've known from the beginning. Like
Because they are
there is a plan and something you could
yeah.
figure out, but
they're birthmarks. So like presumably everyone's born with them. The fact that you two weren't implies that somebody did something to stop that from happening or to like hide it or whatever that they either
You are. Yeah.
didn't do in time for me, or didn't have the ability to do for me, or some kind of detail like that where like Alandi missed something that the other two didn't.
I am piecing something together that I've never pieced together
Go ahead.
as a thing until this very moment.
Go ahead.
What are
I'm
the
smirking right now
birthmark
just so you can't read my
Yeah, no, you're good. I
face in
know,
case
and
you say
I feel like
something.
you saw me having this realization before I even said words, and we're probably like, "Oh, gotta."
Yeah.
But what is the shape of our birthmarks?
Is it
it's like
the
a
same?
spiral. It's
It
like
is-
it's on our
yeah.
cover art.
Yes, and this
Yeah.
is nothing. There's no deeper thing other than this.
Yeah.
There's a fucking sandstorm that we really don't know shit about.
That's fair.
You know
it
what I
could
mean?
also
Like,
be
I don't know.
a reference to Galaxy.
I don't know
'cause
anything
it's
beyond
like-
the connection
yeah.
there of like it's shaped
We're
like
from
a spiral.
space. Oh my
It's
god,
a
are we
big
from space?
It's a
We
big
might
storm.
be from space. Or
I don't
that
know.
monster that came down to Duradera or
Like
came
maybe-
down to
like-
Yonder had
like-
to come from somewhere. Maybe
Like
it's a
less
space
of it
monster.
being connected to the storm in like a literal like
Yeah.
storm sense, and more
Yeah.
of like the symbolism.
Yeah.
Something. There's something.
No, the
There's
symbol
something.
means something. At this point, I'm running with the theory that it's basically like a brand of ownership from the monster. Because the whole thing was like because a monster, the original
We got
guy.
slave brands on us from
In the
some
movie,
monster?
in the movie you watched, or the picture flipper you watched that Barnabas made, basically said that the passing, wreaked havoc across the land, and one of Barnabas's ancestors made peace with it in some way, and it disappeared and bestowed upon everyone in that society the mark of the lasting. You also know that was bullshit, or at least not bullshit. It was
It
propaganda.
was propaganda, yes.
Which
but like,
there's truth in there, I'm sure.
Right.
But for you three, the first episode of season 3 is going to be another scripted episode that's going to delve into a lot of that backstory that your characters won't know, but will just be fun for the audience.
yeah. Okay, Kyle, what were you saying?
He said I got it. He said it really is some Passover ass bullshit.
Yeah, like fucking legitimately, it has like it reeks of hey, put the blood of the lamb on your door and hang a palm leaf over it and put some ash on your forehead type.
All right, I have a quick question. So is this show inspired by the Prince of Egypt?
I haven't seen The Prince of Egypt since I was a kid, so I'm gonna say no tentatively because it could be subconscious.
Thank you so much for can we just from now on, if there's any kind of biblical references,
Yes.
we're actually referencing the movie The Prince of Egypt.
The Prince of Egypt, yes.
Like the
Everything,
Genesis?
everything's. Also, side note,
Genesis Mountain. That was a reference to the Prince.
And
of
I know
Egypt.
I'm about to get so much shit for this from not only you but anybody that ever listens to this episode. But it is 2023. I'm a 28-year-old man, and I just last week watched Atlantis for the first time.
Oh.
And it
I
was
haven't seen
so
that since I was a
fucking
kid
good.
either. It is good.
Oh man.
Okay, I want to ask some of my questions because I have a bunch.
Yes.
Some of them we can roll right on through. Some of them we can discuss more. But I want to know how, now that we're months separated from the hard emotion of everything, how are each of you feeling, and how are your characters feeling? Which the characters' feeling is probably pretty obvious, shitty, I guess.
Yeah.
But how are you all feeling about a number of things, I guess? How are you feeling about your father passing and your father passing in this way? What everything that's going on with the city and Barnabas and the politics of everything?
I'm feeling like as a person fine. I don't know. I'm recovered since like it was. It's one of those things where it's like very much. It didn't bother me in like a like I'm shaking and I can't listen to the podcast thing, but like I was really affected by it because of how invested in, like you said, like invested in this character you've sort of made us. I can't speak for them, but like as this story has gone on, I'm like, I want what's best for Bond, but I know Bond doesn't want what's best for Bond. If that makes like,
Oh, 100%.
Bond has always had that edge of like wanting to get back. If somebody fucks with him, he has to get his sort of equal recompense, no matter the path he takes, sort of.
Tunnel vision for revenge.
Yeah, exactly. But up until this point in the story, without kind of getting into too much, he's always had his brothers to kind of keep him even keel and kind of like when we
saw a lot of with Carveth and Bond under the tent.
Yeah, which
I love.
Exactly. Like they are sort of his like not devil and angel on his shoulder, but like keeping him morally sound in some ways, and that like what he's doing may be right and justified in some capacity, but the level to which he's willing to get that sort of, you know, what he's owed, that karma sort of wheel spin. He doesn't care once he's sort of like felt wronged. He's like, and I think I channeled that a lot from like young me too. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you're a young kid, like you get like if you get embarrassed by somebody in front of like your friends or like your siblings, they won't ever let you live that down. So you have to kind of like find a way to gain favor or like prove yourself amongst them in that way. And with it being sort of like this brother mentality, not to lean too much into any toxic vibes, but like he wants to show up not only because he's like doing all this stuff to make sure he's happy and making sure he has closure with things, but he wants to show his brothers that he's willing to go that extra mile to do what he is needing to do. And I think where we're seeing him sort of left off before we go into where we're going for season 3, to speak on from Bond's perspective, the quote I was looking for is from NWA. A young nigga on a warpath. And when I'm finished, look, there's going to be a bloodbath. You know, like he fucked the police. It's a quote from Fuck the Police, and it's
I'm so excited for season 3
and it's
because there's some fun stuff planned, but the relationship dynamic between the three of you is going to be so interesting, which we'll get into later.
Bond is he's so like jacked on this idea of just like making sure everything's okay. He doesn't give a fuck anymore about like how to do it. He doesn't give a fuck if his brothers think there's a better way. He's going to make a way. His whole thing is just he's picking up where he feels his brothers have failed.
Yeah,
and not in a sense of like he doesn't.
Is like the white version of that song. I think might be. I never thought it would be so simple, but I found a way. I found a way.
Oh my God, are we quoting Drake? Yikes! No.
Oh yikes!
But to be,
he's just Drake is the white version of Fuck the Police.
It left off.
The Drake idea. Bell, not even Drake.
Not even Drake.
We're talking Drake Bell.
Drake Bell,
Drake
exactly,
Bell.
not Drake.
Okay.
Drake.
I thought you had
Drake. That was the Drake and Josh theme, Jeremy.
No,
was it really?
Yeah.
Like,
the fact that you didn't understand that we all did and kind of left you in the dust.
Drake
on that.
from Degrassi sang that song.
I know way too many people here in space. but no, like I think where we left off though, to kind of get back, it was heightened emotions on all ends. Like he's angry at what happened. He's sad, like deeply, deeply like broken. I think this is sort of like there was always like that little seed from like the start. If you remember his encounter and our encounter with the acolyte of the tide, where he felt this like helplessness and wanted to get revenge and wanted to prove himself and wanted to, step up for his brothers in that moment, and it got taken away from him. But now he's in a situation where he's got all the time in the fucking world. You know what I mean? So now he can fucking get into that mindset and kind of sink into that brooding place, whether or not that's good for him or whether or not that's good for the character. Like, in their relationships with their brothers, and people will see how that shakes out Bond. But like, for all intents and purposes, he's on his Bruce Wayne arc. He's on his like League of Shadows shit without saying anything. He's like that's not too spoilery, but he's really on his like, he just saw some tragic shit with his family and is shaping who he's going to become now. Yeah.
I think I don't remember if we've talked about this or if this is like coming out, but like, Carveth, like Carveth is almost like he's almost processing this like the one guy, like everybody at the party's drunk, but he recognizes that everybody's drunk and he's got to like sober up to help everybody out. So he literally like can't process like what's going on correctly, because he's so worried about like his immediate family that are alive still, obviously. And he is also the youngest.
Bond and Alandi are kind of at ends right now.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So he is also the youngest. So like but Carveth's memories of, our parents would be the least. I would have the least strong memories of them. So like it's almost like you lost someone that you kind of knew. For Carveth, so he can kind of like get through it a little bit better, I would say. Still obviously like devastated because up to this point that it's literally just been our mission to find our parents. We didn't even know we had
find him.
Yeah, we did. Well, me and Bond found him.
I love Tyler being pissed in that episode that Jeremy didn't come with us. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that was so. Every time he needed to bring it up, he's, God damn it! I really wish Jeremy would have been
so upset
every time. Yeah, so Carveth is honestly he's literally just trying to keep everybody together at this point. It's almost odd because obviously, like, Carveth's been there for you guys, like, in a minor capacity, I would say, like, just kind of a support type role. I think it's interesting now that Carveth is gonna be kind of like the glue that holds everybody together.
Yes, no, 100%.
Because
I think that tracks with
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, like, and this is probably what you were gonna say, but you guys have been helping him through all of his stuff, all of his struggles, and you've always done that. That's how it's always been. So this is Carveth's true time to shine and be there for you guys in the most major way that he can. So I think that's kind of
exactly
what
I was going to say.
Yeah, because like and the glue together, I think, was such a good thing, because there's a real like in game, but like a real life brother to brother falling out, like some type of shit where like one of them doesn't show up on holidays now.
Yeah, that's actually that's something I don't, and Tyler, you be able to correct me. I don't think that part is fleshed out at the end of season 2, is it?
It has begun.
Did it begin at the end of season 2?
You two were, yes. Because whenever you crashed the plane, you basically wanted to give up and surrender, because Alandi at this moment could not see a way for this to end well. And Bond was like, what are you talking about? Like, it started, this falling out we're talking about has started. I guess spoilers, not really.
Yeah.
This isn't just magically remedied at the beginning of season 3.
It is this is the beginning of a sort of split in the party, so to speak. And not to be like that, but like their only connection to each other basically now is Carveth because
Right.
they're not necessarily speaking to each other. It's not so
Right.
much that they hate each other or anything. I don't.
Yeah.
I would
I'm
say
sure
Bond,
they'll be able to work it out.
I don't think
they're gonna have to
I
work
want to
on it.
address that fully. Bond does not hate his brother.
No.
Bond is incredibly frustrated
Yes.
and incredibly angry with his brother, but
Yeah.
a lot of that anger also comes from the fact that he just wants to strangle the life out of Barnabas. He wants to watch him die.
I love listening to Carveth restrain Bond in that scene.
I know,
under the
I
tent.
know him trying and like he knows, he
Especially with
shouldn't.
you actually crying, it just made it feel
Yes,
so
like,
good.
and I was playing into
Yeah.
it. Like, I know we're fucking on Discord or whatever, but like, I could feel in that moment, in my mind's eye, a hand on my chest and me being like, "Bitch!" Like, because I've been there where you're like trying to fight somebody, and your friend's like, "Bro,
Yeah.
it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
You're gonna get beat up," and it's like, I don't give a fuck. He's
You're
gonna
gonna
die.
get beat up.
He's gonna die.
Right.
No, it's like 5 of them. No, I don't
Yeah.
care if it's 5 of them. It's one of me. And like I felt that sort
Yeah.
of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Everybody just like
It's that revenge tunnel vision you had mentioned earlier.
Yeah, exactly. The ending of this season, though, everybody like knocked it out of the park. Is like fully coming with.
Yeah.
They are in character. Like you guys are like starting to fully assume the roles that you maybe not even intended at the beginning of this for these characters, but like. I love like, and I keep bringing back this Batman thing because like not spoiling anything, but like there's this Jim Gordon Batman dynamic that's gonna fucking happen in this next thing between the two of us, and like I'm like, it's all just so insane to like see and like know that like Tyler in the background is like, oh, you think you know, and he's
That's
just a
what
madman
drove
at
me
a fucking-
crazy, and I kind of hate retroactively that I wouldn't just let it go. But I was so frustrated in that episode, and I think it plays like kind of funny.
No,
I think
it
it kind of lightens the tone in which otherwise could have been kind
real
of
somber
depressing.
the whole but like even
like,
still it's like it's you as like outside of the fact that you're DMing the story almost as like a viewer being like, why would they do that in this moment that's clearly building to
that
something?
yes, and
So-
he just I recognize you just
Is
thought
that
it was
what being
bees
God is like?
or something like that, but in my head I'm just like, I never in my wildest dreams did I think we were gonna have to play this scene missing one of you.
Tyler, one thing I don't think you necessarily thought about, and I actually think it's a good thing Alandi wasn't there. Alandi usually goes with Bond.
Yeah, fair.
We would have
Fair.
absolutely murdered that fucking mayor.
Fair. Well,
No,
I was
like,
prepared for that.
The
I was
only
prepared for
reason
that.
that stopped.
Well, I
was
mean, I was
because
prepared in
there
the sense
was-
like if combat
Yeah.
broke out, I was
like
yeah.
I was so ready for Bond to just be on full heels mode and letting his brothers absolutely work everyone in this room, and then saving my biggest spell slots to turn him into a pile of ashes.
Well, if ever I have like felt like just it's natural when you're creating things, when you're writing, like to feel a little bit of like imposter syndrome or whatever. Like I have thought, but like many times over the course of this show so far, like, am I, hand holding too much? Am I railroading too
I don't-
much?
I would-
No, I don't think I
Yeah.
am. But
Yeah.
like, you develop those kinds of self-conscious thoughts.
Right.
And if ever I have thought that, I say throw that out the window because I let Jeremy split up for this scene,
Yeah.
which for the better of the show. I think it made
Yeah.
the scene better.
The-
But
I
if
think
ever
the
I
way-
wanted to tell one of you guys no, that would have been the moment I should have done it.
because Alandi was coming to kill everyone.
Yeah, no, the
He was
way
coming
that
with the ship's missiles and stuff. Like if it hadn't
The way
crashed, he was
that
going to
ship-
shoot everything at the mayor.
the ship crash
and that
scene
wasn't
played out
sorry, that
in
wasn't Ex Machina. That was the plan.
Yeah.
Originally,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
me trying to
No.
course correct.
Yeah.
The ships weren't working whenever we went into space.
No, yeah.
I wasn't expecting you to be flying one when it
Right.
happened.
No, yeah. No, I was just clarifying. Like Bond,
Yes.
Bond would have absolutely got to run wild if Alandi was there because he would have been right there with him. So the fact that Alandi wasn't there made that scene much more dialogue.
This is something
than it
I can
would've been.
spoil because
Yes.
it got ended, and like you kind of played a little flavor into it whenever I ate the nut for the final time. If I'd have got that D20, I wasn't bringing my dad back to life with a fucking tree in his mouth. I know everybody thought that's where it was going. That wasn't what was going to happen. Bond was going to true polymorph into a tempest.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a giant dragon made out of storms from the air elemental plane, and I was just gonna tear this whole place apart and just forever be a tempest because that's what true polymorph was.
Oh, interesting.
Like if he didn't transform back in
Damn.
enough time, he would have been stuck as a tempest.
Yeah.
And Bond didn't care.
The
Bond was gonna
mystery
let
nut
loose.
is the kind of thing that I am glad, as the person who's trying to write all of this, I'm somewhat glad didn't come to play. But
just letting you know
I wish
now.
it would have, but obviously I
el-
want it to really happen.
The proper name was the Elder Tempest. That's what it is.
Gotcha.
Oh,
But
shit.
if you ever want to look that up in your spare time, I might link it
Yeah.
in the chat for you guys. It's fucking spooky. But also in that
We haven't heard what
same
Alandi
thing-
thinks, but go ahead.
But yeah, the Alandi thing I was talking about with the crash, it played out like, you know that scene in Spirited Away where Haku slams through the window and he's like all fucked up by the papers and stuff. In my mind, it was that panic moment, that same scenario where it's like, I thought my brother died on top of us finding out our dad died when he crashed. I was like, he's dead. He just took so much damage from crashing. He's gonna, or the ship's gonna blow up and we're all gonna die or something, or two of y'all are gonna die and someone's gonna end up in the hospital or something.
Oh
you know?
man.
Like, I was just so worried in that moment that we were like, what went through Bond's head before like the chaos of like us arguing with one another was, I'm losing my entire family right now. I'm losing my entire family. I'm
This
gonna
is
be
the
stuck
end.
in space. Yeah.
That's something I do hope translates, at least for me. I think the Bond crash site scene is my favorite moment from the whole podcast so far.
Really?
That whole
Like,
that
it was just,
exchange from like the tail end of like the Barney cool down of like us trying to like like when after I called Alandi, that's some of the best podcasting that has happened for us. I feel
at least for me, I mean obviously there are a lot of good moments, but at least for me that the Bond like just basically like begging his brother to like, I know you're not okay, but I need you to be okay. I really liked it. Like,
No, chills, man.
I'm gonna be real. I'm probably
it-
gonna cut this out. I think we're pretty good at this.
No, 100. Whatever. Especially that, and that's kind of where I was going with when I was saying everybody kind of coming into their character, and that like everybody's so comfortable with role play in a way that like facilitates shit like that. That scene.
Well, I think that's something that comes from us all being friends for like 10 years.
Yeah, but like it's not like we
I
were
can get
acting
comfortable
each
with
other
other
every
people,
day.
but like I don't feel any need to like hold back with you three specifically.
Yeah.
You know?
What I'll say,
and I know you're not going to get upset with me if I do something to piss you off. Like, I mean, you might get upset with me in the moment, but
it facilitates the story too. Like,
Yeah.
even with us being outnumbered, I was willing to like, well, Bond was willing to put it all on the line and potentially go unconscious and wake up in a prison or even be dead. Like, but the way you like fed into that and kind of played into the drama of it was just so. I would enjoy it.
What I'll say about that too, and I don't want to blow too much smoke up your butt, but doing Kyle's story really helped me out with roleplay. I don't know about for you guys, but I feel like after we did the Road to Redemption, all of our roleplay leveled up a lot.
Well, that's the thing. I and not to go too much into my shit, but like that's the whole purpose of D&D in my brain. Like the combat shit's gonna always be there, but that's fucking nerd math, dog. That's not why someone's listening to a D&D podcast. When people are listening to a D&D podcast to hear the character you're creating, whether it's a funny moment or a really tense, dramatic moment, like we had. Like,
well, there isn't combat in the last 4 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. And like
of season 2,
and like Jeremy kind of agrees with me in
it's
that
much
like
more interesting.
it's
for
so much
character
more
drama.
dynamic. There's so much more going on, and there's so much to D&D that does involve the nerd math that isn't fighting that can be fun.
Yeah,
like, you know, and with doing Road to Redemption, I really wanted to explore this idea of like we told the story together and that we made the world, but y'all are sort of putting puzzle pieces together in like how this world is sort of being viewed through the vessel of your characters. And like, I don't have to make you act the way you're going to act as the characters, but you guys sort of like just, I don't know. Everybody's just so good at like immersing themselves in their characters, and like not just in my story, but like I feel like after Road to Redemption, even myself, I felt more confident having stepped away from the player role to come back with a more tactical mind as a player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
Exactly.
what are you feeling?
All right, I was actually hoping we could bullshit until we got a full hour in before we finished answering your first question. So
so a lot of my questions have already been addressed. So like,
if we could just
and I'm fine if this
longer.
goes over an hour. These don't have to be limited to an hour. I just
right.
literally, I already scratched off like 4 of my questions. We've already addressed them.
Oh, also, I have way more stuff. I also have a segment I was going to do, but because I'm the worst.
I have a guest for us.
Yeah, he's got a guest.
Yeah.
So I would say as a player coming out of season 2 and going into season 3, there's a lot of one of the things I'm looking for, like this is the only kind of, I want to have moments like Alandi and Bon have had with Alandi and Carveth, because I don't think I can't remember any good moments like that. Like I remember Bon and Carveth having good scenes, and I remember Bon and Alandi having good scenes, but I can't think of any like, and so that's something I'm looking forward to. Just like,
I think
like
this
wanting
next
that to happen.
season is going to be rife with character drama more than
Exactly.
anything
I feel like the way
else.
this season is playing out too, there's going to be a lot of that because Bon and
I
Carveth
agree.
aren't going to be talking for the most part, or at least
Or Bon and Alandi, but
Bon and Alandi
Bon
won't
and
be
Alandi.
talking as much, or at least as far as Alandi knows.
right.
Ooh, as far as Alandi knows. I didn't say anything, but I said so much.
Well, so how do you Jeremy, how are you feeling about the way things have gone with the way the season ended and everything?
As a player,
do you like? Well, I just how are you feeling? Like
No,
that's
I hate
kind
it
of
and I hate
what,
you.
Ultimately,
No.
what we were getting at with this question, like,
yeah,
I hate you and you're tacky.
Yeah.
are you
Well,
excited about
I-
a specific aspect of where things are going, or like, is that kind
Well,
of what you're saying?
yeah.
Like, you're really excited to see how this affects you and Carveth's relationship.
Well, it's more like there's a lot of. I'm really excited to see the character development of the 3 brothers, but if I'm honest, that's what I've enjoyed like the whole time. At least for like, I can't speak for like, the story is terrific. At least to me, but the thing it's always been like my favorite piece of it is not just the story, but the 3 brothers going through the story and how that story affects them, and how that in turn like affects their relationships, and how both of those pieces affect the story itself. Like,
Because this is definitely, we're a far cry from the library and worms.
Yeah.
right.
Well, it's interesting to see how the show has grown, not only the story and the characters.
Yeah. We're a
100%.
far cry from Bon whipping Alandi's back.
We
like,
wouldn't have that
exposing his
episode
butt to the nethers to
happen
show his
anymore.
symbol.
Fucking all I can think of is just like having an idea of like the kind of vibe we wanted for these characters, and looking at them now and seeing like, not necessarily that they're like, it's like a deeper it's like we looked into a pond and one of us dropped a rock for each character, and there's just ripples that are like, oh, I can kind of see a little bit of that coming through.
Well, I
from
don't
this
even
whole
think
thing.
any of the characters are different than at the beginning. They just are. I think y'all have just done a good job of developing them more.
That's what I mean.
don't
Yeah,
think
like
the
they're more
characters-
mature.
No, I'm agreeing.
More.
I don't think any of the characters have really changed. I mean, they've changed in the way that story changes a character.
I think,
But I don't
that,
think
like,
y'all have
we're
like
not
taken
as,
a left
like,
turn anywhere.
We're not as doe-eyed, like silly billies coming out of our village just joking with everyone. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. In more so.
I have a quick question. Does anyone in the in our hometown do you think anyone is going to believe anything we say? when we come back.
I didn't even think about
I'm
that.
gonna say yes.
Elder
Oh,
Grumbo
really?
will believe anything because he's a nice
I
old
think
man.
Elder Grumbo
That we
and
went
Captain
into
Jim
space?
probably will.
I was just gonna say that if the wander phones don't work, Bon is fucking writing letters that he's gonna give out to people when he gets back to Earth. He's
That
doing
is totally
some-
Bon Steed.
I'm
Derek,
really
here's
playing
3
into
years
this.
worth of notes.
I'm really playing into this
Wait.
like type of like thing. Like it's like not quite Charlie
Yeah.
with the fucking Pepe Sylvia
Yeah.
thing, but like he's like. He's got a cave now. He lives in the sewers and he's doing some sad shit. And if someone walked in and just saw a mound of wet letters to like all the people he loves and like other things I can't quite mention in there, they're like,
Right.
what's happening? What's really going on?
Right.
Is
Yeah.
Bon okay?
Wet letters.
Oh, I would. One thing. The thing I was gonna say, and this is, I do want it on the record. This is a real threat. If we get home from the adventure and anything happened to Elder Grumbo, I will come to your house, Tyler, and kill you in real life in cold blood. I just want that on the record. Like, you can do whatever you want as a writer, but that is a real threat, as a legal threat I am
Gotcha.
making to you. Elder Grumbo better be okay.
On the record, I am coming with a knife.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Realistically, I wouldn't be surprised, and y'all do whatever you want. I wouldn't be surprised if after, we return back from space, if your 3 characters wouldn't want to return home just for the first time since your adventure started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sleep in our old beds.
Also,
Yeah.
my realization is, does Elder Grumbo have a wander phone as well?
Yes.
Yeah, he gave it
We've
to
never
us.
called him.
No, I
literally
have. I did
have you?
call.
I think we-
No, I did call him once
thought we
or
called him
twice.
once.
I don't think you have. You've called Gareth.
No, I know we called.
I
There
don't
was
think
one
we've
time
called-
early on that one of us called Elder Grumbo for something.
I also
I swear
Maybe
to
it
God.
was
I
like
kind
2
of
days
remember.
after we
I
left.
kind of remember that.
I don't know. Whatever.
It's
Regardless,
like you remember to call your mom like 2 days after you move out, and then you haven't talked to her in 5 years.
my assumption is the same thing as like the ships and shit. Like our wander phones aren't going to work in space, and so
Yeah.
my thought was like we got to start stockpiling letters.
Well, I will
Well,
say
they might work. They probably work with each other.
Just for the audience to know,
Yeah.
we are doing a small time jump. A few months is kind of what we're going to be jumping in after
16
a few
years.
months. Your characters by now know your wander phones did not work. Your wander phones
Okay.
no longer work while you're in space.
Then yeah,
Like your characters will
work
know
with
that
each
we're
other?
jumping in.
I'm setting myself up for something, and I want you
probably
to
just
listen
don't
to
get-
this.
That's interesting.
I'm setting myself up for something.
I don't know. My gut says yes, but I don't hold me to
I
that
feel-
yet because I haven't thought about
I
it.
assumed it would be like walkie-talkie rules, where it's like within a certain range, and like yonder is out of
Yeah.
range, but the other
Well,
wander phones
the
aren't.
reason I'm questioning is I don't know what space, like the vacuum of space. I know you're under a
Don't know
dome,
what
but I don't know.
space.
I
What-
don't know is
what
the
is
answer to my
space?
answer to your question.
Okay.
I don't know
I'm
yet. I
Neil
will
deGrasse
figure that out.
Tyson.
You could not
I'm
reach
Neil
yonder
deGrasse
or the
space.
planet.
What space?
What?
My next question, real
Yes. The second question.
Yeah.
Hell
quick.
yeah.
No. Like I said, we've cut through a bunch of them.
Yeah. No, I know. But
Where was
second official
Alandi?
question.
Did Alandi
Space?
actually think it was going to be bees, or was that just what he was saying? Also, did y'all have any ideas of who it might be?
Alandi did think it was bees because of the fact that like the guy seemed to be struggling to answer very basic descriptive questions. So Alandi took that to mean bees would be hard to explain to somebody. So like it could be bees,
Yeah.
or it could be
That makes sense.
someone like bees. So like and because of the candy, he just like
Yeah,
bees
Put
because
two and two. Yeah.
bees is where we're
yeah,
getting
that
the
makes sense.
magical
No, that
stuff,
totally
right?
makes sense.
Yeah.
I also had the same thought when you brought up bees. Like you brought that up as like a option. I was like, shit. Well, that's like my third thought, because my first thought was I didn't think it was going to be a body. I thought it was going to be like memorial statue thing of like a fake like event dealing with our mothers, of like them vanquishing these women who were coming to do some harm to the city, and it's like Barnabas like on a pile of like corpses that were our actual mothers or some shit, like some type of thing, like George
Yeah.
Washington vibe.
That would be
And then
good.
my other thought was, and this was out of left field for me, but we brought it up and I didn't think anything would come of it more so, but maybe they were like potentially Genasi fucking hunters and they had Aria and like a bunch of other Genasis, and they were like, hey, he's got the mark so he's safe, but just so you know, this doesn't fly here.
What's funny is
something's flying the ship and Genasis can fly.
Exactly.
So like maybe there's something going on with that.
This doesn't say that that's not true, but whenever you were like, what if this is the city in the sky Mom always told me about with the Genasi? In my head, I was like, oh, that's interesting. That would have been really interesting if I had come up with that.
No, exactly. My immediate thought was like, this is like a safe haven for Genasi.
Yeah.
And then but that was like before any of that thing, like the statue stuff or our dad's corpse business. But Matt, what'd you think?
Modern art. Oh, sorry. I was just thinking about how he made a modern art piece, and that's somehow more scary.
That was medieval art.
Yeah, no, it was biblical times art.
I'm so sorry.
Dante's and
You're okay. No, did you think it was bees? Did you think it was anyone specific, or what did you think was under the tent?
Definitely not what we got. I thought it was like I just thought it was like some like project that they were working on. Like I didn't think it was anything like crazy. I thought it was just like like some new like technology or something that they were going to reveal, that was like under wraps. But I didn't think anything like any statues or anything like that. I don't know. And then that guy was like, oh man, that's fucked up what they're doing down there. And I was like,
when he said fucked up, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking more along the lines of like, maybe they were like showing off like captured like people, but like not dead captured people.
Yeah.
Right.
Not her father.
Fair.
Not her dad.
Our
father.
I will say that this is just
his father who was a tree.
God,
hollow is his wood.
God, I'm really glad we burnt that tree.
No, the Viking funeral shit, man. If you don't, if you don't get art of that,
I forgot about that too.
If we don't get the art of the three of us standing around this burning tree,
dude,
like just our backs, it doesn't have to be any facial expressions, but like the back shadow and shit, like that would be so.
Cover?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think in an album cover, like. Absolutely.
It's like Greg Universe with the water.
Shot in the dark, we get big, we make a fucking graphic novel off this shit. That's gotta be a panel. Just like a last page or like a cover, a variant cover is just the three of us staring at this burning tree.
Yeah. No, I agree.
God.
So fucking cool.
Something I think is funny that kind of came out in our answers to like who we thought was under the tent is one element that both our players and our characters this time around share is the fact that Bon and Alandi were like speculating, trying to figure out what could possibly be under the tent. And Carveth is just like straight, like, no point, live in the moment. We'll find out what's under the tent when we get there.
That's like
and I think that's a piece that is both Kyle and Jeremy. like I feel like that's an element of those characters that is also true of the players.
That vibe of living in the moment is very monk, very zen. And like, even if that is like just Matt's nonchalant nature outside of being a monk, it fits so well to him being like, I need to know what's going on right now. What is the current thing we're supposed to be, like he's very much, I was just going to say, he's like one of the main people to keep us on track besides like every now and then Alandi.
So I want to know, after the events of season 2, does the plan or the mission change at all? What are your thoughts on the mission, on the plan? I mean, the mission is really just find Mom, figure out what happened to Mom, whatever. But like, does this change in your characters' minds and your players' minds? Does what has happened change the plan in any way or change your thoughts on the plan?
I think for Alandi at least, and I think I feel like we've talked about this previously, but we might not have like in recording, but I think Alandi is done. Like he is all bravado, and like this was a complete failure. Like everything went wrong, and not just everything went wrong, we just lost in every way we could lose. And I think it's even a bigger insult that we lost without actually getting harmed, because it's like they didn't even have to kill us. They just beat us without even. So like, I think Alandi is like his whole personality is bravado. And I think that got snuffed out with the events of the end of season 2.
Yeah. Totally.
I think he's like in a depressive spiral. Like
that makes sense.
I think this hit him. I would expect this complete, like I think this was a total failure on J3B, like on the part of J3B. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree. Like we just lost.
Think in the vein of that, if I could go, like in the vein where you think it is a failure, like while Bond would agree that we had a setback, it's time to start thinking more creatively and stop thinking so on the path of what we have to do and what our destiny or whatever. Fuck that. We know what we need to do. We know what the mission is. We've known for a long time.
It's kind of a kick in the butt.
This is a whatever. This is a setback for them, but the new mission now, take control of the ship, get back to the planet, recoup, refigure things out. Yeah. And that seems insurmountable to anyone that isn't on Bond's shit right now. Like Bond before losing essentially everything, like almost in one day, both his freedom and one of the main things that they were going after, the whole reason why they left home.
50% of our costs.
Yeah, 50% of our cause is fucking out the window with new added bullshit. And Bond is too stubborn to let that fucking slide. He can't let that fucking stop what we've worked so... Because like if we work so hard to get here, it's like, fuck it, then let's stay here. Why are we mad? Like, why am I still mad if that's the case? And that's the thing that's driving him. I shouldn't be still angry. I shouldn't still be this upset if truly it's over. If truly we have no way of solving this. And because there's that fire still burning in his fucking stomach, he's going to use it. And he's getting prison swollen sewers like Michelangelo. And he's going to come out and fucking wreck shop. That's it. That's
and I love that Carveth isn't going to let Alandi just sulk.
Yeah.
Like Carveth, like you said, you're kind of the glue here. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think in that way too is like I know we're gonna play it out later, but Bond's definitely like I know I made jokes about these letters, but he's literally writing these letters, and I think Alandi's one of the people he's writing letters to.
Yeah.
And Carveth is sending you those letters, and whether or not he's choosing
Kyle,
to read them.
I'm sorry. You did this to yourself. I need you to actually write a letter to each of your brothers. And
no, that's what I was saying earlier.
Wow.
No,
and send them to me.
Yes, 100%. I was going to say this earlier. I wanted to write like a sort of thing where he's like ambiguously speaking, and like you can infer sort of who he's talking about through each letter, and have that be kind of like an opener before he starts to do anything. And I will absolutely write these. Wow. I don't have it. Don't judge me on my grammar because I'm just going to stream of consciousness.
No, that's great.
Fix it if you want.
And that's kind of what Bond would do.
Yeah, it's kind of because in some ways too, he's in that same vein of where you are, Alandi, where he's like, we lost bad. We got like, if the Acolyte of the Tide was a loss, this is monumental beyond that. And so, but in the way that like you are on the stage of grief where you're just accepting it, he's in the anger aspect and the bargaining aspect, and the bargain is you're going to take what Bond's offering, otherwise he's going to get angry.
I don't know if that's traditionally how those
exactly, but that's not. Bond doesn't have a traditional thought process. He never has, and he's a man of theatrics. Bond even in this
runs in his own
Bond he's like he's a trendsetter. I don't know how to say it other than like Bond's gonna do what Bond wants to do, and what Bond wants to do is what is right in Bond's mind. Like you know what like by any means necessary. So like he doesn't want to burn any bridges between his brothers, but he's gonna get some shit done. And his plan is to somehow seize the means of control of this ship and get us back home and on the right path. That's his whole thing. regardless
Matt?
of his emotions and things tied to that. That's where he's at.
Yeah. Matt?
So it's just a modification of the same plan. So obviously, like we lost our father. We know that potentially our mother escaped. So we know that there's still hope.
He bought what you were told, just a reminder. He was captured buying time for your mother.
Yeah.
And presumably
Our mother
I
escaped.
don't remember. Did he say that it was a group of people or just
think
your
he
mother?
I think he said it was a group of people.
I think
He
he
might
said
have-
it was a group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if he referred,
I haven't
'cause I feel-
listened since we were.
Part of me feels like he
Yeah.
said your mother's. I don't remember if he said mother's with
I don't
an
think
S.
he said that. I don't think he said that.
No. He didn't know who they were. He didn't.
Yeah.
He just
Because
said
no,
Yeah,
but I think in that same conversation we were talking about the real mom situation, not like Faye.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
you're right. He specifically said that
He bought time for your mother's.
he bought time
to escape.
for our mothers, referring to our 3 OG
Not
mothers.
Faye.
So we don't actually
we
know
don't
if
know
Faye
that
was with
Faye
them.
would have been involved,
But
unless he
presumably-
specifically would. Yeah.
I mean,
we're
if,
presuming
if
she
our
was
dad
I'm
involved.
was
sorry,
involved-
listeners, that we don't remember.
We need to go back and listen to it.
Bro,
Yeah,
like
you
how-
need to hurry up
but-
and release that episode so I can
He
remember
bought
what
time
happened.
for people to escape.
Yeah.
And you
I don't-
you can reasonably assume that one of those people was Faye.
Okay. Yes.
And you're bringing up a good point in that this happened somewhat recently. I don't remember.
Yes.
I don't believe he said how long ago it happened.
Yeah.
Well, it
Like,
would have
so-
had to, unless they used magic, the body wasn't like, you didn't mention the body
Well,
looked
true,
like
but
a
there was
mummy.
a tree growing through it. So there
Yeah,
was
but the body
probably
itself
magic involved
wasn't decaying.
somehow.
He may
Yeah.
have been
I mean, this
magically
place is
preserved.
crazy.
Yeah,
got
either the
pickled
tree
with
was magic
arcane
or the body
energy.
was magic.
The
That's
picture I drew
Yeah.
had him like dried up. I
Yeah, he
pictured
was
it
shriveled,
of
but he was
coming
still-
off as like a magical something.
yeah.
Since the tree had grown through him, but
Was
I
Dren
don't
always
know the
blue, or is that
specifics.
just his corpse is blue?
That's just his corpse. I think.
No, I think both of
Also-
our parents were human.
I think
Was
Dren
he-
and I think Faye and Dren were both humans.
Was he dead
pretty sure
before
we
the
said that.
tree
We couldn't know
grew
We
that.
don't know
through
that.
his-
We don't know that.
you don't
and
know
I
that?
truly,
Oh, is this some bamboo
hey, Matt, this
shoot
isn't even
old
Bond.
torture?
This is Kyle. I don't want to know that information.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
that's
need
one
to.
part that I don't need fleshed
I'll
out.
sleep better at night not knowing.
Anyway, as you were saying, Matt.
Yeah. So I think so. Modification, obviously, looking after Alandi and Bon. Still have hope to find our mother. This is where we found out that we had we kind of knew, but we have separate mothers. I think he's going to kind of want to find them at some point if possible. I think he's gonna prioritize finding Faye. But I mean finding
Well, I think this whole,
some boys who grew up having no fucking parents. We have a lot of parents.
I think
Right.
in
We have
my
so
head,
many parents.
I don't
And-
mean to show my hand too much, but in my head, this story is kind of about chosen family and found.
I was just about to say no. And we
that's
have
my
and
whole
even
thought.
we even have a found family in that Sadie and one of our fucking enemies now, and
It's all
a
about
whole gang of people and
Connections and
Thandor
yeah.
and all this stuff. Yeah, there are people
I know
out
it's
there who care
bullshit
about
to
us.
say, but the story's kind of about love for your friends and family and the people around you. That's kind of the vibe I get. I mean, that doesn't mean anything, but so just for the audience, now feels like as good a time as any just to let you know what our plan is moving forward for between seasons. So after this episode, we are going to move into Kyle has prepared some more Road to Redemption, which we are calling what are we calling it again, Kyle?
One
Just
point.
since
It's
your-
1.5 right now, and the title is The Winding Path.
That's right. So we're
then
if I
I
remember
did
correctly, this
spoil-
is kind of in between, right?
I don't know if y'all remembered the thing I spoiled in the last episode, but I did spoil the title of the actual part 2. That
Oh,
won't
you
be
did?
coming. It won't be coming after 1.5 right away. We're still going to go back into what you were probably talking about, which is our regularly scheduled programming. But this is a little placeholder for the 15-year sort of time gap, and it's just to fill in some stuff and to start up some story stuff that is going to be what season 2 will be leading into.
So we're going to, after this, we're going to be going into 1.5, The Winding Path. And then after that, we didn't, especially after the cliffhanger of this season, we didn't want to take as long a break as we did last time between seasons.
Literally,
so we're going to do the 1.5, and then potentially after season 3, do season 2 of Road to Redemption.
And I talked to Jeremy about this because I totally, by accident in the scheduling, skipped him by doing 2 first, because he had mentioned he wanted to do a long form thing. He didn't. I don't know if he had anything set up, but we talked about it recently. After season 2, potentially, Jeremy's going to start something big and something which I'm excited about.
Well, I will say, at least right now, my thought process is it would be the next like primary replacement to give Tyler a break from DMing, if he wants to do that at the end.
I don't know. Like question. But so, like a little peek behind the curtain, everything that's going on that you guys have done makes me feel like campaign 1 is probably going to be a little longer than I originally planned, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to fully develop the things you guys have started, which makes me think that campaign 1, Wanderful, is going to be longer. I think I had originally said like 40 episodes. Now I'm kind of
I think the last time I talked to you were up to 60.
Yeah. We're still playing it by ear. I don't have a goal. If this campaign somehow made it to 120 episodes and it wasn't like we were dragging it on, then that's great. I'm not trying to rush the ending, and I'm not trying to extend it out. I want it to feel, find its conclusion.
Right.
So we're going to do the 1.5, and then we're going to jump back into season 2. And then we're going to jump back into season 3 of Wanderful proper, which, as we mentioned earlier, we will essentially be jumping in after a little bit of a time jump, a few months. I think we said 3 months, but loosely, of our characters having drifted in space for a few months. So we will have the first couple episodes of season 3 will be kind of us developing and catching up what happened in that time span. I'm working on a little bit of something that will be just fun, like world building, backstory kind of stuff. And then we will get into the events as they're happening again. We've got a lot of really fun stuff planned that all 3 of our players have just come up with some fun stuff that I can't wait to get into. I'm writing like a madman right now because I want to continue our upward trajectory as far as like quality of content goes. I think season 2 was a big improvement over season 1, and we've set ourselves up to continue that, I think.
100%. I picture you, when you say you're writing, you have like an old-timey, big, chunky typewriter, and like you're on a table that's just wobbling as you type every letter.
No, I'm in a bathtub like that one guy.
But I was thinking it's like on like you're somehow also on a rough sea in your home, and like the room is like moving, and like Callie's coming in with like a perfectly balanced drink on a plate, like shit. And you've got like a little candle, and you're like, not now. I'm doing my doc work.
What's funny, Kyle, is I imagined like you zoom out from what we can see on his camera, and the walls are covered in scribble and notes. And
yes, but also it's being filmed, so it's like
I've been wanting to get a whiteboard.
It's like one of those crazy like tilt outward zooms as you spread out the room, and it's just every wall is just covered with like Bon ?
Well, speaking of that, like I want to take this time to give a huge shout out to my wife, because I feel kind of bad for her because she's really enjoying, or at least she's acting like she is. I think she is. She's enjoying listening to the show, but she has really helped me kind of work through a lot of my bigger ideas and kind of help keep a lot of those ideas straight. Because I'm fluid. Like, things have already changed from what I originally have planned. Right. A number of things, but there's a number of things as well that like I'm trying to keep straight, and she and I have talked through, and I feel kind of bad that I feel kind of bad that she doesn't get to just experience it like everyone else does.
Yeah, but it's also like,
there's such world building is so tough in that like I'm trying not to contradict myself, constantly.
Or also lose out on the fact that you had something crucial you wanted to include, and like
Yes.
you don't know a way to kind of bring it back because of decisions we've made.
Yes.
I like the outside
Or
influence.
something might feel like oh, that feels a little cheap, but maybe it's because of something that I haven't found a way to develop yet, or like
Listen, you think Matt Mercer is out here not letting Marisha Ray ghostwrite half of the shit he's coming up with? Like, she doesn't know everything, but she's a part of the team.
Callie knows everything.
Griffin's got fucking Rachel, and she's probably like, I don't get this nerd shit, but like,
we were just talking about that the other day. I wonder if Rachel knows everything that is going on in Griffin's story.
I think there's something too, because like, even as much as Riot's like, brother, you're losing me with some of this fantasy concept stuff, and I have to dumb things down. When I'm writing Road to Redemption, I'm literally the guy with the papers, but it's like several Google Docs open on like my computer desk, and Riot's like, what are you doing? Your family misses you. And I'm like,
well, I do a lot of my writing while we're on the road, because I'll set up and then I'll have hours where I have to wait for sound check or wait for something else, and I'll just sit on the bus like
exactly. I'm doing that in between baby naps and playing Slay the Spire. That's like all I've been doing is like, when I'm not doing that or I need to take a break from one, I go into the other, because like I've just beat it with one of the characters, like fully completed the game with one character, and I still have 3 characters.
Before we tangent onto video games,
yes.
Jeremy, I want to hear what you wanted to say. We can talk about video games after we finish recording.
No.
Wanted to.
Mine
I
works
have
better
a
if it's
finishing
random.
thought. I have a finishing thought.
Okay,
but
do your finishing thought.
No, I want to end the episode after I.
Oh, okay. We don't have to fully get into it. We can do this in a different talkie podcast.
Yeah,
Slay the Spire is so good.
Yes.
Did you?
Wait, is that what you were gonna say way earlier?
Did you fight the heart, or did you just get through the 50 levels?
No, I just got through the 50 levels. I haven't fought the heart yet. No, but the heart showed up because I just beat it with the berserker kind of character or whatever, and now I'm playing through as like the rogue poison guy.
The Ascension tiers are very cool to play through.
Because they increased the difficulty and the monsters changed to like old bosses and shit. It's so cool. It's such a fun.
Yeah.
Jeremy, is this what you were going to interject with earlier? That's what I meant.
No. Hold on. There's a weird smell. There's a weird smell in my house. Oh, it's this old beef. My new segment. Old beef.
Oh my god.
I've totally forgot you texted us you had old beef. Okay, hit me with it.
Old beef.
So this is me being a weirdo, listening to our old episodes and noticing inconsistencies that I didn't think to ask at the time or just got forgotten. So it's old beef, because I'm going to be really upset about dumb old shit that doesn't matter anymore.
Okay, hit me with
like a healthy human.
All right. Beef.
The Cloak of Steve should have fucking stopped Alandi from getting followed into that church in, I don't know the episode. In the first episode with Silver Mask, Alandi wore
you weren't followed into the church.
But he knew I was there. And I was wearing the Cloak of Steve the whole time. So how did he know I was Alandi in the church? Quest couldn't have known, because if he would have saw Steve come into the church and he would have paid no mind. The only things that I can think of is...
So that's only true if they don't successfully roll. There's rolls that would have to happen.
Is there a roll?
It's like a save. It's like an intelligence check or something. Check. You don't just automatically get, I'm just nobody. Like, it's a roll.
Well, it's whether or not they can see through the illusion, which is fair. No, it's
not an illusion. It is just whether they roll an intelligence check or whatever. Otherwise, they think you're nobody of interest named Steve.
Well, no, but yes, but that effect would be illusion magic.
No, but
is
yes.
what I'm saying.
Fair. Sorry, yes.
It's illusion magic
but
that the
also,
cloak would have to be.
No, this cloak isn't magical in any way. It just compels everyone by its being to think that's Steve. Yeah. Oh, that's just Steve.
Right.
No. There is a check that has to be made. You don't just automatically convince everyone you're not.
No, that's fair.
You.
But why would they invest? Because the only way they'd be able to see through it is if they questioned it. right? Because
Well,
the way
they
illusion
questioned
magic
it
works.
because
Go on.
just okay. I'm just going to tell you what was going on here.
Okay.
They were taking a chance. They were watching this position in case one of you three showed up.
Who was Quest?
only
or the
people who would show up-
Silver face.
Quest and the Silver Face Man. The
they both
only
were.
people who would have shown up here would have been, or sorry, not Quest. Genuine. Genuine and the Silver Face Man were watching this space because the only people who would show up other than Jamiroquai, the only person that would show up there other than Jamiroquai would be Quest, who was extremely injured and in the hospital, which they knew, or one of you three looking for them.
But why? But
They have no
is,
reason to believe that you would be able to find them, but that's a long shot that they were watching for.
Well, they
that
also had
night.
no reason to think we were looking for him because we didn't have any reason to look for him.
Well, that's not necessarily true because you have found out that this person was looking for you.
Yeah, through
Like
Jamiroquai.
they were
Yeah.
there to watch their own back in case one of you came looking for them.
Because they knew Jamiroquai probably would have told us that there was someone.
This is just me telling you this. You would have no reason to know this.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just trying to settle this
But no, I
gripe,
understand
they
what you
had to
mean.
watch their own back that night because there's good chance, which they would have known now, that you would know that someone was looking for them or looking for you rather.
Okay.
Because Jamiroquai spilled to you that someone was asking for you.
I don't think-
So presumably Genuine would have told this person. Mm-hmm. You have no reason to know this, but
Yeah.
like,
And it's way past it, so it doesn't matter.
No, yeah.
Exactly.
Like I said, it's old beef. It doesn't matter.
like
All right.
my thought was that they were staking it out in case y'all came looking for them somehow.
Oh yeah, I've got more beef.
He's got more
There's-
stuff.
Oh, we've got more beef.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
keep moving.
It's a collection of old beef that I'm just gonna periodically dump on the plate of
I love it. Hit me
my
with it.
friends and the podcast listeners. All right. So
Bad.
next,
It's gray. All of the
This-
beef that he's
this-
put on this plate is gray.
this gross piece of beef is actually for Bon
Oh, boy.
because whenever we went to the scientists, Bon asked the scientists questions and he didn't get anything helpful. And he didn't get
that guy was a
any
weenus.
piece
We
of
learned to
helpful.
ask-
But the next episode, you whined that we didn't ask the scientists
Because
questions.
we didn't ask any other
Bob
scientists.
did ask questions.
We didn't know. We didn't ask any other scientists. This guy was a dickhead. We didn't ask the leader of this research group or anything. Tyler was making it clear that this person was just annoying. I was
Oh,
like,
was it?
okay, this guy is
thought
just
he made
really
it-
annoying.
Oh, I just recently listened. I thought he made it clear that like all the scientists would have roughly the same information as this guy, which was
guess
not very
so.
much information at all.
I don't know. I don't
Because
know.
I
was the
think you
impression I
specifically
got.
asked, was there a head researcher, and he was like, no, they kind of all look the same. Like, so Tyler,
Go
what
ahead.
Bon asked questions. He didn't
I
get
don't
any
remember
good
what
answers.
specifically was asked.
What were
I
you fishing
had-
for?
Well, I had some like topics ready, like should the right questions be asked.
It came across
I
to
don't
me
remember-
that it
Go
seemed
ahead.
like the scientists didn't know much more than
Well, so y'all
we
asked
did.
y'all asked a lot of questions that I don't think he had answers for. You asked
Right.
questions that I'm sure the audience also had. Like he had certain answers. Y'all asked a lot deeper questions
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
than he would have had. Like you were saying, like, you know, like you could just like magic your way in there or whatever. Or I
they're talking
truly
about
don't remember.
science.
This is a long
Sure,
time ago.
whatever. Yes.
Like I'm not even saying like
Yes.
science isn't magic. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. Whatever, I can't remember exactly what it was. Y'all asked questions that I felt like this person wouldn't have had the answer for, and I knew that you were going to find the answers to a lot of these questions soon anyway. So
Yes.
you know,
It's-
I agree that that interaction was ultimately useless.
Bon
Yes,
was.
no, that guy
I
was
just
really
wanted.
annoying.
Bon tried.
I was much more interested in the fact that Alandi hated being there than the fact that he existed at all. But you did learn a lot of things, like the earthquake caused the
Yes.
the sandstorm, or was not caused, but was correlated to the sandstorm expanding.
Oh,
You
no,
learned
to be
a lot
clear,
of,
my
you learned
old-
some things.
My
yes.
old beef was specifically that the next episode you started by like being like, you met some scientists that you didn't ask questions to. And when I heard that, I was like, fuck you, Bon did ask questions.
I literally
No,
yeah.
well, for sure. There's these things called jokes where like you say something that is, not typically what's like expected, and like it's humorous.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you laugh at these.
Ha.
You have any more beefs?
Yes, I have one final piece of old
One
sticky
final
beef.
beef, and then I'll leave us with one thing.
Nicholas, the guy we broke out of prison, told us that the mine was a maze, and it super wasn't. It was super straightforward. We went down.
It's almost
there
like
was a
he
map.
wanted to be broken out of jail.
I'm annoyed for Orlandi because I just listened back and I was
You
like,
gotta
Nicholas
get me out
fucking
of this
lied to
jail.
us.
It's a maze down there, and I know it. He also wasn't a part of the cult or the.
No.
He wasn't a part of
No.
the group. Like,
No.
yeah, he wanted to get broken out of jail, and
No, this was
also
the
he
lightest our
doesn't
beef
know
'cause
you
it was
know.
mostly-
No, he does know you speak thieves' can't. That's not true.
Yeah,
He did know. that you
Orlandi
spoke
felt
thieves' cant.
betrayed. I felt retroactively betrayed for Orlandi because I just realized the fucking mines weren't a maze at all. Nicholas lied to me.
I canonically believe
He wasn't a bad guy. He just wanted to get out of jail.
Yeah.
in my head canonically
was worried about his brother.
Thieves' Cant is just ham boning, and like the other person knows what the ham bone is. So it's like him just walking up to somebody and just and they're like, oh yeah, and then they both just
Yeah.
like
My thought with that is so he did know you speak thieves' can't because of the whole thing with his hand. You were writing signs
Yeah.
in his hand. I think he saw this as an opportunity to be broken
Yeah.
out of jail. Granted,
Yeah.
yes, there was a map, but you also had to initiate contact with these people, and he also presented it as like he knows these people.
Oh
Even if
yeah,
he's
no,
not
no.
part
To
of the
be
group.
clear, Nicholas being there absolutely helped,
Yes.
but I was just retroactively annoyed because I was like, I didn't realize till listening to
a
it.
fun peek behind the curtain. I was totally prepared for y'all to go in guns a-blazing there.
Yeah.
I fully expected that. Despite everything going on with the Silverface Man, I still expected y'all to try to like fight your way through all that.
Oh, I have a question that I didn't think to ask because I kind of was
ahead.
unclear, but it was also related to this. Do we have faceless masks? Like, because aren't we like pseudo honorary members?
No,
Or
you
did they
started your
abandon
own
the whole
cult.
faceless-
You
like-
started your own gang.
And they didn't keep the masks, like they got rid of the masks.
I mean, they might keep them personally, but like, did you establish like uniforms or anything like that?
If
You
I'm
started
honest, I
this group.
completely forgot about the masks. I forgot the mask as a piece.
Yeah, we haven't established a lot about that, and we will, unless you don't want
Yeah.
to, I guess. Like we
No, it's
will,
fine.
so that's
If it
something you
happens,
could be
it
thinking
happens.
about.
Right. I don't think Alandi would
last-
want to wear a mask because like he's way
Well,
too
you're the leader. You don't need to.
flamboyant about that.
Yeah, that's your
here's
people.
something.
He's way too showboaty.
I mean, I know we're in space. Is anyone gonna be like, where the fuck did they go?
Well, the people who is anyone? The people
Like,
who are
how many
close to
people
you knew you
Thandor,
were headed down
people of
toward
Thandor.
the Baron Yonder. So some
Yeah.
of them probably assume you're dead.
Sadie, and Jamiroquai.
Yeah. The thing
A lot of
people
them
probably think
probably
we're
assume
dead.
you're dead because they knew you were headed into the Baron Yonder in search of some big quest. Depending on how
Oh.
long you're gone, a lot of them will probably think you're dead.
Why does no one ever call us?
Yeah.
We never got calls the whole event.
Oh,
I had-
God.
called me after our
Garrett
night.
never
where I
called him
implied we
one
had
time.
sex.
That's messed up.
I think it's entirely
Bitches.
possible that, like, in that instance, I think it's very possible that you and Gareth have called each other multiple times, and that it doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be on
Right,
air.
but, like,
we're not seeing
Would
it
I
all
have
the time.
I don't
Okay,
think.
so
personally-
canonically, we are getting calls from people.
No. I mean,
Potentially.
yeah, probably. I think. I don't think.
Probably
when
more
when
Gareth
we
than
went into
anyone else.
I assume that when we went into the Baron Yonder, signals out. Like once we
Yeah,
stepped.
y'all
Oh,
never
yeah.
tried your.
Yeah.
Y'all never tried your
So
stuff.
anything that happened before that, sure, but like I haven't talked to any
Yeah.
of them. Haven't talked to my.
I think
BD.
it's very possible that Gareth and Bon have talked a few times. I will say though, actually, no, I don't even think that's true.
Yeah.
Because the way y'all left Thandor the first time,
And there was chaos.
I
and
think it would have
shit.
been too dangerous for anyone to reach out to the three of you.
Yeah, I don't.
And I think after you came back, they would have like potentially reached out to you at that point. But Bond called Gareth on your way back. So y'all talked and found out everything was okay. Y'all went and saw them, and now y'all are in the Baron Yonder.
Yes.
So I think
So
I see
definitely
that,
would-
but
so canonically, I haven't had a chat with him since our officially making each other boyfriend and boyfriend, and I'm pretty upset about that for Bond, and I'm sure he's man.
he's probably
This boy's going
real
through
upset.
it, dude.
Yeah.
We're all going through it.
One thing we were able to use our wander phones with each other in the storm. That's how we were able to hear each other because the storm was raging
No.
so loud that
No.
like
No.
The bracelet
What?
things.
It was your
like
pendant.
we were the not bracelets, but like the rings
pendant
or whatever.
you got from
Pendants?
The
the
pendants,
pendants
yeah.
you found.
well,
They-
no,
your
but
mom
I thought
had
the
left at
storm
the-
around us blocked our voices.
No, but when the suit made the thing around us, he said that it was like we were speaking through like
It
some
was
sort
like
of
it was
intercom.
piping into your ear, like
Yeah.
some sort of.
I guess at the time I literally until you said that I thought you just meant like the wander phone like
Nope, the pendants that
Did this.
made their birthmarks appear.
got it. I fully misremembered that or
yes.
misinterpreted at the time. Cause okay.
There was one thing. I
So
was
yeah,
gonna
we
say
don't know
about
if the
that.
wander phones work. Yeah, I'm out of
forgot.
old beef.
It's
It smells much better. in
Thank
here.
God, I'm throwing
So
this away.
The last thing
I
I want
love
to
the
bring
ending
up,
of that segment.
because of the way season 2 ended, and we're entering in on a time jump. I already told you 3, but I thought our audience would like to know your mother's names. Your mother's names, and you don't know whose is whose. You can speculate all you want. I will neither confirm nor deny anything. Your mother's names are Kira,
That's my mom.
Qira,
Yep,
Celeste,
that
That's
is
my
Zena,
mom.
with
No,
a Z.
Celeste is my mom. Celeste is Bond's mom.
Celeste.
Kira is
and what was the last one?
Xena with a Z.
Zena's
That is also my mom.
Carveth's. That's Carveth's mom. Zena's
Yeah.
Carveth's mom. The Q name is Elandi's mom, and Celeste is my mom. I'm calling.
Hear me out. What
Call
if our moms are in a thruple
That doesn't matter.
and they're all our
that
moms?
doesn't change which one gave birth to. What does that mean? Did you hear what you said
Hey.
before you said it?
All of them are our moms.
No. Hear me out. They're in a thruple.
They're all
All
my mom.
3 of them give birth, and you just shuffle them around like a deck of cards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, before they
Baby shoes.
they had their eyes closed and they started juggling us, and they're like, "All right, whoever catches which
Oh
baby,
shit!
that's their baby."
This baby's blue. I wonder which one that is.
Well, all 3 of them were human. Or no, they weren't.
no,
Were they?
He didn't say what their races
All
were.
3 of the
No,
mothers
they
presumably
were
were
human.
human
Oh
Yeah.
because
Because
they
the
came
people.
from.
Yeah.
So if they were swingers, they really
So
could
does that
not
mean
know.
our dads are all fucking freaks?
That's the racist way of saying that, yeah.
That's an interesting thought
Please
that
end it
I
there.
will end the
Please end it
episode
there.
on. Goodbye, everyone.
I didn't even
Goodbye.
think about it in that context. I just meant like,
Goodbye.
I just